Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone has had a fantastic weekend. We are back for Magical Coffee Hour. Um, so let's get this thing started. I want to give a big thanks to all our local supporters and our locals community. Again, if you are interested in joining the community or supporting the community, head over to workingdragonmystic.com. There's a tab that will send you over to our locals page. You can become a member where you can see there is member content that everybody can see, as well as announcements and other information like that pops up. And then there's the supporter only content and stuff like that for the supporters. So it's a great place for everyone. And it is actually where we post all of our updates on what's going on with Working Dragon Mystic. Okay, great. Got that out of the way. Next, for the supporter community over there, just so we are aware, it is March. That means that every active supporter during February, we did have a duck race. And we are working on, we actually filmed it, so we just got to get it edited and uploaded. And we will be announcing the winner hopefully this week, okay? We ran into a few family issues that we got to get that edited and uploaded, but I think we will get that uploaded soon, and we will have our winner of the dragon statue, as well as we will be announcing what the next giveaway is for March. All right, Ruby. All right, everyone. Immortal, welcome. Magickal Movies, welcome. Angela, good to see you. Violet Star, welcome. You all saw the title. Obviously, I have been constantly getting contact with a lot of people, just constantly getting hit with problems left and right, and trying to figure out why and how they can improve different scenarios. And then a lot of people's been contacting me about the Mage Minded series and how much the discussions have been helping them, while at the same time constantly wanting me to do more videos like that. We are going to do more on the Mage Minded series, but don't forget, we still have the Angelic series and the Goetia series that we also got to be doing. Got a lot of things that we are doing, so we have to rotate them. And we will be reintroducing workshops over at the school, hopefully very soon. I got one I want to do in March, especially. So we'll see about getting those up and announced when they are ready. There we go. Woohoo, my first one ever. Hey, Mugs Up. Thank you for joining us. Glad you can make it live. So, the title, of course, for this one was Our Greatest Enemy. And I believe it was Magickal Movies. Actually, you are correct. If you wanted to sum up what any individual on this planet's greatest enemy is or can be, it is themselves. That is a summary of it. Now, ideally, the magician, think about it. A magician or a practitioner, we seek self-mastery, self-empowerment. So since we are seeking those things at the level of self, you are your biggest roadblock again and again and again and again. And inevitably, throughout practice and teaching, I have seen that myself and others tend to get in their own way and overcomplicate it. And we let our fear get to us. We let our anxieties get to us. We let our frustrations get to us. And it constantly builds up. In fact, probably 90% of the people that think they have been cursed, they haven't been cursed. It's just they hit that point where they're having bad luck. They start to consider if someone did something, and then it starts to spiral. They start to worry, and they actually start generating that bad luck, and they essentially self-curse themselves. Which the irony is there, you still have to treat it like a curse, because most people I have met in my life, myself included, especially my sisters, if you just tell them to calm down, it ain't what you think, half the time that's going to just piss them off and make the problem worse. Or in the few cases, they're going to keep asking around until they find someone who just feeds into it. And that's also not helpful. So you do kind of have to still treat it the same way. But though we are our greatest enemies, we also have to figure out where it is that we trip ourselves up. And that's the hard part, ain't it? That is the hard part. But it comes back to one of the most, well, everybody says is boring. It comes back to meditation. If you take time to truly examine yourself through meditation, seek time to calm yourself, to center yourself, and to evaluate a scenario, it's amazing how much insight you can get. And again, this is why I do like, the Mage-Minded series and so many of the things that are taught in Stoicism that we've discussed. Not the whole Mage-Minded series isn't going to be Stoicism, but the things we've discussed are about pulling back the emotion, feeling it, expressing it true, feeling you're not trying to eliminate, but pulling back. And when you look at an issue, when you examine the issue, do so logically and all around. Now, with that in mind, let's consider that. Every individual is an individual. We all got different complications, okay? Everyone here has different complications. We're all different and unique. Our paths are different and unique. That means the roadblocks we are going to run into, even if they're similar, they are going to be unique in their own way and the way we have to overcome them, okay? But it takes a level of self-examination to truly do it. So as me, for an example, I used to have really bad anger issues, and they would honestly get in the way of practically everything I did, whether it was my work life, my friendships, definitely my magical practice. It would definitely get in the way. Now, you can't just be rid of your emotions. That'd be handy, wouldn't it? That'd be super handy. But you can't do it. They're natural. They're part of you. They're supposed to be there. They serve a purpose. So I had to, at first I had to own up to the fact that, yes, I had an anger issue. Yes, I was the problem. It was actually back in these days where I actually came up with the phrase that, I'm allergic to stupid people. And yes, I do still use that phrase. But today it's more of a reminder of what it is particularly that annoys me, but a reminder also to me that I am in control of me. I may not be able to control the people that annoy me, but I am still in control of me and how I choose to respond. And when I know that, I look at me and I look at how I respond, then I'm immediately asking the question, is the man responding the man I want to be? And I quickly came to realize that wasn't who I wanted to be. That wasn't who I wanted to be. And I worked on it. And the more I worked on it, the better I got all around in all aspects of my life. And I have found that to be true for every person, not just in anger, but it could be anxiety, it could be fear. We all have different things that stop us from doing different things. And I've noticed a lot of people in this community, they've wrote me, messaged me, or in the Gilded or over on Locals, they've heard me say something and talk about pushing outside our comfort zones and our boundaries and trying new things and facing the obstacles, as it were. And they've made leaps and bounds and progress in their life. I've got people who used to be eaten up with social anxiety getting out there and living large now because they've been slowly doing that. But they had to put themselves in that scenario. Does that make sense to everybody? Let's see. We got a few people join us. Also, if you are here, do give us a thumbs up. It helps us out a lot with the YouTube algorithm. Karma, welcome. Cookie, welcome. Vicky, welcome. Let's see, Vicky, what is the end of a life cycle for entities? Is there such a thing as death for them naturally, or is it more metaphorical, like they revert themselves? Weird question. I know, just curious. There is. So if you look into a lot of mythology, there are actually a lot of entities that do die. You see this within the Mount Olympus, Greek pantheon. You see this definitely in Norse pantheon and mythology. The gods can die. The gods are not immortal. In fact, they have to use very specific means to keep them immortal. the dragons themselves, they age and die, and they all have underworlds that they go to. In fact, in Norse mythology, it's addressed pretty plain. Balder does die. Balder does go to the Norse underworld of Helheim. And though the whole world is tragically upset because Balder was the most loved of them all, Odin sends one to Helheim to petition for his release. And Hel is not required to give up that which is hers, especially when it is rightfully hers. Okay? But under the circumstances and under the pleas of the gods, a deal was struck in which if all things in life and creation wept for Balder, she would release him back to the gods. It didn't happen. There was one thing, I believe it was a giantess that would not weep for Balder, and thus Balder remained in the underworld. Now, Helheim is not a place of torture, so it wasn't a bad thing. He was being treated as an absolute honored guest, but he died. He went to the underworld. You also see this in other mythologies where the underworld can claim the deities. So, yes, it's one of those things where entities do have a lifespan. I honestly do not genuinely know of a true, absolute immortal. Hands down, I do not know of one. So that's something to consider. Yes, very great advice. Thank you. Today, hey, manifesting coffee and snacks. That's what we're talking about. So, now, if anyone has any questions on roadblocks that you're facing or whatnot, we can try and maybe answer some questions or suggestions on that. But on a general term for getting out of your own way, it really is, you need to spend that time in self-reflection. You do. And if the same thing is happening over and over and over again, even if there's new people, new locations, new things, like, let's be honest, you all know I move a lot, right? So if I constantly move all the time and everywhere I go, regardless of where I go, I can't make friends or I'm constantly making enemies or something like that, at some point, I kind of got to look at myself and be like, Drake, what the hell are you doing wrong? And do you care or not? And because that's another question. Like, I don't really have trouble making friends when I want to make friends, but by and large, like, I don't tend to go out, wander around, and just make friends. Most of the friends I keep, I will stay in contact with them regardless of where I am. So, but there's a lot of people who think well of me generally every place I move because apparently for an asshole, I'm a pretty nice guy. Until you ask me something and I bluntly state my thought. But anyone who knows me knows that that's what's going to be coming, right? So, that self-reflection goes to two areas when you're doing it. First off, what is the unpolished, raw truth of who you are, your strengths, your weaknesses, your irritations, all these different things that could create your roadblocks. Is it fear? Is it anxiety? Is it laziness? I know a lot of people got that roadblock. I get that roadblock a lot. What is creating it? Why is it creating it? What can you do to alter that? And this is a big, important question. Do these particular roadblocks matter to you? Answer that question. And then answer this question. Does this roadblock prevent you from reaching your goals and living your life as you want? Those two questions. Why do we ask those two questions? Does anyone know why I want you to ask these two questions? The reason is, first off, do you care? If the answer is no to that question, it's going to be very hard for you to do anything to motivate yourself to change it. Okay, truly. Okay, and the first level of changing something is to want to do it and to have the motivation to do it, because changing it, even if it's a roadblock, it's going to be hard. You're fighting your anxiety, that's freaking hard. You're fighting fear, that's freaking hard. That's hard stuff to do, you know? Okay, so for a lot of people, at first initiatory glance, it may not feel worth it, but it may not. Okay, then we get to the second question: the goals that you have set, those things that you want. The reason we ask this question is actually to layer in this first question. If you're wanting to proceed down a path that in order to reach your goals, you have to overcome this roadblock, then on a personal level, this roadblock may not be that important. You may not want to socialize. You may not want to make contacts. You may not want to talk to people. You may not want to deal with people. You may not want to work construction. You may not want to do a lot of things on a personal daily basis, right? However, your goals that you've set for your life completely disagree with what the hell you want, because your personal comfort zone and your goals rarely align. Rarely. Because as we pursue to better ourselves and as we pursue to reach goals, we really do have to get outside that comfort zone. And that comfort zone, that's really where that first question lands almost all the time. Most people, when they answer that first question, even if they come close to it, they always want to stay in that comfort zone, and they're willing to overlook a lot of things. Like, I've seen a lot of people truly look at something that they at first thought, they're like, this is an annoying little roadblock, I get rid of it. And they realize to get rid of it, they got to get past that comfort zone. And they're like, well, okay, it don't bother me that much. That second factor, however, is a harder one to just ignore. Because it is true, as we grow, as we change, as we develop, what we view as our goals in life change drastically. That is true. But we've also built a lot of learning and understanding and wisdom with life experience onto those things. And because of that, what makes us truly content and happy also shifts. So however, if you don't have that life experience and that slow shift, that slow understanding, when you look at those goals, well, you got to find a way to dynamite that goal to get through it. So I would encourage each and every one of you to meditate on those things weekly. Actually, I'd recommend doing it weekly to look at that concept. Let me know if you got any questions on that. What about the deity in charge / possession of the underworld? Yes, they too actually have a cycle as well. They too also have a cycle. They too must also face the march of time in some way. Like I said, I know of not one true, actual, eternal immortal. Never heard of one. Let's see, Magickal hour movies. My roadblocks would be that of a start of career. I know what I want, but I somehow don't act on that. I could study, but it's just not my format. That academia robotic nonsense. That is true. That is true. A lot of career paths and a lot of learning and education systems, they don't necessarily fit with our perceived learning or our best methods of learning. And we may be forced to slog through a grueling academic method in order to get certificates, in order to get licensings and stuff like that. While on the side, you would have to do something that does help you learn in your way. that's what I had to do for practically my whole life. Like school environment, it wouldn't do it. One of my favorite math teachers, bless her heart, Miss McFetridge. Like the first year I met Miss McFetridge, I adored her as a teacher. She hated me as a student, but loved me as a person. And I loved how she could separate the two. And that's because in a classroom setting, I'm a freaking moron, especially with math. Me and math do not get along, especially abstract math. And she had me for algebra. Poor woman. However, what she did learn quickly by talking to other teachers and me, I was extremely smart and I could learn, but I couldn't learn in a classroom setting. Now, she couldn't do anything about that. Math is not mental abuse to humanity. No, it is not. Sorry. She actually gave me ways to apply math in day-to-day functional mechanical life and what I'm doing. And then she started to apply algebra concepts without telling me what she was doing and having me utilize those in my spare time. And she actually found ways to plug it into things I was doing outside and extracurricular. And she'd done this, like she would even have these conversations after I full on flunked her class. She'd see me in geometry because there was like a shared doorway there or something. And, she'd ask and tell me, and it's like, oh, yeah. And then the next year when I got shoved back in her class to, what I thought would be fail again, I'm sitting there and she's talking through the same formulas that were freaking Greek to me. And I'm like, okay, yeah, And she pulled me to the side and she's like, you do realize why you're doing better now. I was like, no, I don't. I don't know why I didn't understand this, and I'm understanding it. And she point blank told me what she had done, where she had, put these little different things in there to show the function of these abstract formulas in a way that my brain could comprehend. And I took that lesson from her and I started to apply that to everything. Because once I learned and understood that the academic setting bored me and irritated me to a level where I just didn't give a fuck, I was able to really start learning and applying those methods, whether it be in history class or whatever. And that's really where I would say I catapulted my learning curve. So it's true. We may have to step outside the standard path. We may have to walk the standard path and add to it. But that's a part of an obstacle of who we are. We can't expect every road we walk to be easy, and we can't the easiest, and we sure can't expect every road to be the same for every person. Some people will have to do more. Some people will have to do less. Some people will walk a certain road on the average. But if you wish to succeed and you wish to follow a path, you have to do that which is required to do. And there's a few things where I've had to do a lot of extras. But I love knowledge. I love education. And as much as I hate math, I do get a certain true joy of figuring it out and learning it over time. Now, I have learned there's areas of math I'm really strong in. I really am, and I'm really good at it. And then, like the abstract math and stuff, and some of the minor calculus that Miss McFetridge taught me on the sly, they've helped me to be a better investor because she taught me how to apply things that I wouldn't know how to do. And I'll eternally be grateful for her. Mugs up to Miss McFetridge. All right. Let's see, Daisy, I pushed happiness and intentions into my chicken nuggets for success. Hey, that chicken nugget video was amazing. I loved it. Each nugget empowers my... There you go. There you go. See, how to curse a very powerful person / corporation. Thank you. Generally speaking, I'm not big on cursing corporations. Okay. Let's touch on this. We don't usually, I'm not going to let this get political. Let's be clear on that. But there is this concept of the evil corporation in the world right now. And everybody wants to bring down the corporation because they have this weird ideal that CEOs are just taking all the profits and putting it in their wallet. And that's not how it functions on any shape, form, or fashion or level. And also, if you bring down the corporation that you deem to be a bad corporation or evil, you also put thousands, if not millions, of people out of work. So even if there is 1, 2, even 100 rotten eggs, by trying to tear down the corporation, you cause way more harm to so many more people. And depending on what the business model is, not only do you end up harming the employees, you end up harming the distribution lines as well. So before you go slinging curses at groups and corporations, highly consider what you are actually doing. Because there's a lot more people that are probably protected by their loved ones, by individuals they know, by their churches, by their pagan circles, by their heathenry groups. And those protections will rebound everything you sling at the corporation in order to protect them. You need to consider that. Now, how to curse a very powerful person. That depends on what you derive as powerful. If you mean monetary, money does not protect you from magic. Plain and simple. So if they got money and you know the individual, you would curse them the same way you could curse anyone. But you got to be careful again because they may be just as adept or even more so in magic. And you don't know what wards they may have. They may be a very spiritual person. They may have protections in and of themselves. Cursing is rarely the answer. And if it's a practitioner who understands defenses or wards or whatnot, then you're going to have to find a way to bypass those wards. And truth be told, that's not easy. There's a lot of people who want to make it sound easy, but it's not. That's why cursing is not an effective practice. It is possible. It is plausible. It is not effective. There's a reason 90% of curses are self-done. But yeah, there's a lot of different things there to consider. And it's weird because in truth, all curses function the same. There is no difference. Like you could curse an Archmagus with the same methods that you could curse a Muggle. But the question is, what are the barriers between it? It's like throwing a snowball, okay? I can throw a snowball at a toddler. Pop! He's crying. I can throw a snowball at Mike Tyson. Pop! Okay. Now, I can throw the same snowball at the same toddler or Mike Tyson, and there's a few brick walls in the way. Well, there's a few obstacles I'm going to have to navigate to throw the snowball long before I ever get to the person. Fine. Toddler's probably going to cry, not be able to do much more. He might run off. He might run at me. Might even try to bite me. Not a thing I'm worried about, honestly, because I've been bit by toddlers. That's not something I'm worried about. On the other hand, then there's old Mike Tyson. Well, Mike Tyson might try to bite my ear off, or he might just haul off and haymaker me across the world, making me the first flying man to go around the world. Same method. It's just you have to be ready. See, I'm not ready to go fisticuffs with Tyson. So I wouldn't hit him with a snowball. So curse is a curse. Let's see. Happy Sunday, Jade. Wonderful to see you. Jade, if you can, if you're available, if you could appreciate, drop the links to the local channel for these people so they can find the locals community, stay in touch with updates, or if they want to support us, they could even sign up to support us and get all of the supporter perks, free workshops, and all that stuff. Great teachers teach to the student. Yeah, great teachers are amazing. Like this concept where like teachers used to teach you how to think, not what to think. And I have so many teachers that I have to credit for me being able to function in life in so many ways. And it's hard to meet teachers like that today. And this is the part that breaks my heart. I find teachers like that who either they can't do it because they know they'll lose their job, or they've lost their jobs or gotten in deep trouble for doing it, because the way the education system is set up now to basically teach a test, not teach you how to learn and how to think and how to problem solve and all the critical thinking skills that a human being really should have. Um, I actually considered being a teacher in a school system once. I'm so glad I didn't go that route with the way things are now. I still ended up being a teacher, weirdly. Because I remember the first time I thought about being a teacher, everyone who knew my personality is like, don't do it, you'll get fired in a heartbeat. And they're right, I would have. I would have. And yet somehow my personality still found its way to teaching. And from what people tell me, I'm apparently somewhat decent at it. Does this non-immortal thing make Odin super ancient and Zeus too? Technically, yeah. If you actually read the Norse myth, like Aduna's apples, the gods eat. My apologies. The gods eat Aduna's apples to maintain their immortality. There was a point where the apples were stolen and the gods did age. They must eat the apples in order to prevent their aging. So, yes, that would make Odin very old, very ancient, and he needs his apples. So, yeah, definitely. Have I ever worked with Jinn, and what was your experience? I have worked with them. I know a lot of people have so many bad things to say about the Jinn. My experience was good, actually. I went in. I was very careful and very attentive to what they were saying. I was also cautious what I said because of all the stories I'd heard previously going in. But honestly, I found time and time again it was very pleasant, very, very pleasant. I had no real major issues with them. And I got good results. I honestly can't think of a time or place where I didn't get a decent result percentage from them. I can't say every working I did functioned exactly because, I don't know of any practice I've ever done where I have a perfect 100% manifestation rate. I would love to find it, but you all know I have my standards are far higher than most people. Like if it ain't 80 to 85% or better, I don't consider it functional. Most people will go with 50-50, and honestly 50-50 is like flipping a coin or just random stupid luck in my opinion. But that's my opinion. So that said, I did have a good time with them. And I don't know if it was my previous workings with the Fae, because with the Fae, I know for a fact you have to be, you're playing like 32D chess with the way they talk and the way they think. But I had a pleasant experience with them, in all honesty. They aren't entities that I tend to work with most of the time. My original research on them was I was wanting to learn about Jinn in general. And get a first-hand experience with them instead of just listening to everyone's opinion. You all hear me talk all the time about figuring out who a person is, hold a person accountable for their actions. Don't just don't think a person is what the rumors say they are. I do the same thing with entities, not just people. And of the ones I worked with, I had a pleasant experience. Now, I do know plenty of people who have absolutely had horrible experiences. And of the individuals I've talked to and either had notes or told me the story, there are big, giant, glaring holes of why it went bad. And honestly, it would have gone bad with most other entities as well. So I don't know that I can blame that specifically on the Jinn. Let's see. Why no notifications insert? YouTube should have sent out a notification to you when the thing went live, assuming that you have notifications turned on. If you're in the Gilded server, I don't always post in the Gilded server when we do the live streams because YouTube already does the notifications. Scarlet, which angel is good for knowledge and wisdom, like learning math and applying different methods? Metatron. When it comes to knowledge and wisdom, I would definitely say Metatron's a good one. I would say that he would also be fairly decent in mathematics because he is a bookkeeper. So I would say, yeah, that's a good one. So when we're wisdom, also, I really, really love Uriel and Raphael for wisdom. I'm not gonna lie. Mathematics is a tricky one because it's not one of my favorite subjects, and it's not something I usually think of angels for. But Metatron would be a good one. I may have to pull some notes, Scarlet, and look into that because I know that I've seen several angels that deal with math. It's just I can't think of who they are because that's not why I reached out to them. So, Sophia Wolgar, hey, welcome. I have a question. I remember you saying you can put intent into your water, like for health or fat loss. If you put your intent into a big bottle of water, if say you only drink 50% of the water, move down to the next section, and then fill it back up, will all the water still hold the intent? And is playing sound frequencies to water a good way to do the same benefits? Okay, love that question, Sophie. I love that question. Mugs up to you. Yes, you can absolutely charge water. You absolutely can. However, here's the kicker. If you were to make you a big old water bottle of Tang, I don't know if y'all still drink Tang. I love Tang. And you drink half of it and you add water. Is that Tang at the same concentration? No, it's been diluted. Same thing's going to happen with a magical infused item. If you add another component to it that is part of it. So in this case, you have water plus the energy and the intent that you use to set the energy. The energy remains the same, the water increased. So you're diluting the energy. So you'd be better off, in truth, to finish the water completely, get you a new bottle, and recharge it. But let's say you ain't got time to finish the bottle and you want to make sure you got a full bottle before you go to work, and it's morning, right? I'd go ahead and top it off and recharge it just because. But yeah, you will need to top it off and recharge it, or finish it and recharge it. Finishing it and recharging, technically, you get a better result because obviously you drink 100% of it, right? And 100% and 100% is 200%. But if you just top it off and recharge it, you only drink, assuming you finish it that second day, you only had 150. So I truly believe those percentages matter in the larger scheme of goals, personally speaking. Some people would say, hey, you drank half of it and your prosperity for that day is what it was. Fill it up, recharge it, do it again. And that's a fair point. But yes, it would dilute it. Angela, what's your favorite thing about working with dragons and each pantheon you work with? Well, for a short question, that's a big one, Angela. You're good at that crap. Good question, though. Well, with dragons, I love their no-nonsense. I really do. There's something about their just absolute no-nonsense bluntness that I adore. And I have a great deal of respect for people who don't sugarcoat and beat around the bush. I really, really do. And for me, that's been amazing. And I love the fact of how they really don't swing to extremes. That balance is so important to them. And it still, to this day, amazes me how such a large, primal, what looks to appear very violent and bestial creature can also be so gentle. So that is also something I adore about them particularly. And because of their methods, because of how blunt they are, because they don't sugarcoat things, and how straight to the point they are, and how no nonsense they are about work, I have learned a great deal. They've also shown that, you can be no nonsense about the important things, the work, your duty, the things that you're doing, your physical progress, the things that you need to develop. And then they can also show that when it's not time to do the, work, when you're not at work, when you're at home and you're kicking back, flipping some steaks or something, you can cut up and be goofy. And it's weird because they take relaxation and celebration just as seriously and no nonsense as they do work. But when you're celebrating and it's no nonsense celebrating, they are amazing at celebrating. However, they're the first ones that's quick to pull you into what they would view as safe, rational celebration. They don't want you, drinking and driving and doing all the dumb shit. But at the same time, they can take a party over the top. They really can. And I love that about it. Because honestly, I grew up in a culture that kind of does that. I grew up in Kentucky. Granted, you go down to Louisiana, they ramp that up to 1,000. But a dragon can outdo a Louisiana Cajun any day. So I love how they show that no nonsense doesn't have to just be that irritating. The Norse, that's a big one. I love the simplistic nature of Norse pantheon and their practice. I love the honor that comes with it, the concept of duty, the concept of self-sufficiency, and being an industrial member of a community. I adore how they stagger empowering self, caring for family, caring for extended family, caring for community, and that the practice and this concept, it spreads out. But they also teach you never, never, never give that which harms. So, like, if I have $100 to live on for the next 2 weeks, and I got bills, I got food, I got to use it on, right? And you need $100, I should not give you my $100 because I don't have $100 to give you because I need this resource. So it teaches the practicality of resource management as well. And then within the magic side of it, I truly adore the simplicity, the elegance, the connection with the natural world in and of itself. Norse magic is very, very heavily connected to the natural world and its cycles. And I'm not usually a tree-hugging hippie kind of guy, but I do love nature. I do love the natural world. I spend a lot of time camping and, so magic that can tap into that in a simplistic way that is functional, it's powerful. I adore that because a lot of people, it's all bells and whistles and complications, and it ends up being largely useless or pointless. Whereas Norse magic kept it very, very simple. I adore that about it. And those are the major ones I work with that I can talk about. There is another pantheon to work with, but I can't talk about that one here. How often should I do a prosperity working? Oh, great question there. And honestly, that'd be up to you. So I have different styles of workings that I do, and I do them in different ways. Now, starting out when I was living in the red, okay, I couldn't pay my bills. I was doing prosperity work daily. I won't lie. I was doing a prosperity spell daily. And I actually got to a point where I was doing a massive prosperity ritual once a week. And then I was doing a smaller prosperity spell daily. Because I was desperate to ramp up that that prosperity energy and that progress early on and get it started. Now, as I noticed, that curve climbing up and getting me where I needed to get, I started refining my method. I started doing it. I think it was I was still doing the one ritual, but then I was still doing this small spell every other day or something. And I got to the point where I was speaking with one of the dragons. I want to say it was Exboonwell. And he's the one that got me to, he's like, you're at a point you need to shift more to the material of what you're doing and the logistics of what you're doing, as well as maintaining your magic. So he had me doing the ritual once a week. And then halfway through the week, I would do the spell. But the rest of the week, I was very attentive on my expenses and stuff like that and my investments. And so it really depends on the individual. The big thing is if you're doing it daily, you have to do it as an individual spell daily and you have to release it. You can't just constantly be doing it daily and constantly be checking and seeing if you got a surge of money. Because if you're not releasing the energy, it's not going to do as much. So if you're having trouble genuinely releasing it, put some space between it. Start with once a week, see how that goes. If you think you can get once a week and maybe a couple days in there, do it. But yeah, it depends on the spell, depends on the person. Okay, we have a super chat. Thank you for the super chat. By the way, $5 super chats do enter you in a spell working on Mondays. That's not $1, so that's a pound. So I don't know how. I'm not going to calculate pounds. We're going to count it. I'll count it. Anyways, the question is, Bible doesn't mention anywhere that Yahweh created the angels nor the watchers. So what's going on, assuming Yahweh exists at all? Thank you for this stream. Hey, great question, Daniel. You're right. It actually does not technically directly state that Yahweh created the angels nor the watchers. And interestingly enough, in my working, demons and angels are the same entities, and except for the fact there's a lot of entities that got thrown into the demon category that it's just because one religion or the other decided they didn't like it. And Christianity wasn't the only one who done it, so don't everybody blame them, okay? So no, we don't necessarily know in truth. And when you talk to different creator entities, because we have multiple creator entities, we have Yahweh, we have Odin. So as perfect examples, these entities, like I've spoken with Odin and them, they all took part in the creation. That's why each of the creation myths is a little different. But they also follow a similar pattern. Now, we also see in many of the creator myths that many different types of entities sprung into existence in different ways. So if you think about it, in Norse myth, Odin, for example, is the creator entity. He and his brothers created everything. But it also goes further back to show where Odin came from. Okay? And they go into describing the springing into existence in a very weird way because it starts with Ginnungagap. It starts with Muspelheim. And I want to say Jotunheim for the ice. I may be wrong on that one. And the primal fire and the primal ice collide within Ginnungagap and created, I want to say it was Ymir. And things start springing from Ymir. We'll have to cover the Norse creation myth. It's a good one. And of course, eventually down the line comes Odin. And what we know as the world and the universe, they're credited for building. Same kind of concept there. So the Bible does not directly state where the angels come from within there. Here's another kicker. If you start diving deeply into angelic work, you will find angels that have no connection to Yahweh at all. You will find angels that do have connection to Yahweh. Perfect example, Michael, Archangel Michael. Michael is a Yahweh loyalist. He loves Yahweh. He's one of the people who got me to go talk with Yahweh after I had issues. And I have the greatest of respect for Michael. So, did Yahweh create his angels? I'll be honest, I've never asked. I do know there's plenty of angels in existence he didn't. And I also know that there's plenty of entities in existence that just sprung into creation. And in truth, I would question whether there's much of a difference. So as far as did he create them, I can say he didn't create all of them, even if he did create some of them. Though some of the angels do refer to him as Father, which would show at least some lineage. Does that make sense? I know it gets complicated, but that is a complicated question that you asked. Vicky, can you work with more than one ruler at a time? And do you need something other than the Dragon's Flame ritual to reach out to them directly? Direct contact with the rulers is a bit more complicated than just the Dragon's Flame ritual. There is certain processes there, and especially, can you technically work with more than one at a time? Yes, not easily though, and that goes even further than just contacting one directly. Those are lessons that are covered in Dragon Magic 101, of course, and for sure. Because that pathworking is getting you into that direct contact. That is a full pathworking, starting to get you in direct contact with the rulers, learning from them. Now, when you are pathworking with a ruler, you should not be pathworking with another one. You should not. That will get you in a lot of trouble, a lot of bumps, a lot of problems. So in that case, no. Angela, do you have is it Tooless or Tools? Tooless prosperity spell you could. I'm thinking that says Tooless prosperity spell I could recommend. How Tooless, where you want to go? Because if you want absolute Tooless, let's look at the runes, for example, since we've talked about the Norse so many times tonight. The very first rune within the very first Fehu, that rune itself does represent wealth and prosperity. So if you really wanted to, you could easily sit down, focus on your wealth and prosperity goals. Put those in your head, Angela. Lock on to them. What are you wanting to grow? What are you wanting to hope to reach? See that growing, see you having that, and actually intone Fehu right then and there while you visualize it and push those vibrations into that manifestation. Do at least 9 intonations of Fehu, which if you don't know what goldering or intoning the runes would be, it'd be like that'd be one golder, one intonation. You want to feel it right here. Okay. You want to feel that vibration in your chest. Everyone's going to sound a little different. There's this concept that you find your golder. You should be able to golder it. You should be able to intone it, preferably without it cracking. And you should be able to feel that vibration in your chest. And you should feel it like that tingling kind of soothe through your body. Do that 9 times. That is a very quick spell or ritual, depending on what you want to call it. That is very effective. So there you go, all the way Tooless. Yes, I've read the Lesser Key and the Greater Key of Solomon. I even tinkered with Solomonic Magic and practices for a year. We did a full, well, actually, it's more than a year. We did a full old Solomonic style goetic pathworking, me and a couple magicians. We got some decent results. And I know people who love the Solomonic tradition. I didn't like it because the prep work, the requirements, all the prayer, the threats, none of that really felt good to me. That's why when I work with the Goetic spirits, I don't do any of that. I don't do any of the threats and stuff like that. Now, the different seals and pentacles that you see in those books, have I used those? Yes, I've used those for different things in different ways, not necessarily in the exact same ways that they're utilized there. And I've considered doing a series on those different seals and talking about them, and that may be something we do in the future. Dang it. Oh, we're getting close to the end, people. It's Jay's gonna be throwing clocks at me soon. Let's see if we can get through some of these. Why do the angels have so many eyes in their true form? Is there a reason? Um, I don't know that there's a reason. I mean, entities don't really have much reason for most things. The best reason I've ever heard did not come from an angel. Okay, let me just make that statement. It was, I want to say it was Tyr is the one that made this statement to me. He's like, it makes sense that angels are nothing but eyes because most of the time they just sit and observe. They're observant. Though he is thankful when they act. I was like, I guess so. um, so if we look at what he said, and angels are very, very observant in nature, that could be why they manifest in such a way in their true form. But then you do have a few that they'll only have two, one eye, maybe four, but they'll have like a billion freaking wings just all everywhere going flappy, flap, flap. And it's like, what the hell? It's a ball of feathers. I don't think angels really care what they look like. I think they are very primordial, very, they know they're from a time before everything was organized. And even though they are highly more based on order and law than, say, the more infernal side of their fellow entities, I think that form comes from the fact that they still remember that time before order. That's my personal theory. I got nothing to back it up. Tears actually sounds better than mine, but that's my personal. You can take my personal for what it's worth. Do they ever sleep? Not to my knowledge. They don't. I mean, they can sleep. They have no need. I've never actually talked to one that informed me that they had slept. And I know if I didn't have to sleep, I wouldn't because it feels like such a huge waste of time. I hate going to bed. I hate sleeping. So if I didn't have to, I wouldn't. But I mean, there's nothing to stop them from taking a nap if they want, but like they have no need of it. So, I mean, I'm unaware of anyone that has chosen to, but so yeah, so they don't need to sleep. As to if they ever do, I don't know. Will you be releasing your demon path working? What do you mean by the demon path working? Can you elaborate? Because I do have a path working with the Goetic. Well, not necessarily a full path working, but the evocation class that I released over at the school, it is a path working through evocation, and it does have the Goetic entity. So you could do that entire path working with those entities. Now, if you're wanting more of a specific how I did more of like my infernal path working, whether it be because I did a path working with Azazel and several other entities there, or like, will I be releasing a Cliffothic path working? I do want to release a Cliffothic path working. And this kind of goes into what I'm researching and tinkering with now. I'm actually working with the dragons on a side project, something that truly interests me, and working with meeting and talking with dragons that correspond with the different spheres of the tree of life and the cliff off, and understanding how these two cosmic models actually align and work within dragon magic as well. So those are both areas of research I am hoping to publish reasonably soon. I got a lot of work myself to do on them personally. And you all know I'm going to completely do my research and work through those before I publish. So there are those concepts as well. So it depends on what you mean by demonic path working on that. But there is technically one up there. I know most people might not count that one. Let's see if you dropped anything in there. Fully Tooless, spellwork. Drake, you have a spell to release anxiety. Look at the prosperity we just did with the Golder of Fehu and use Wunyo. It looks like a little flag. Wonderful, wonderful for releasing anxiety. It's a tough one. Your channel has been very, very useful for looking into dragon magic. Would you recommend I begin making a staff / cane / wand before I get a co-magician, or should I wait and work with them on it? Okay, so we cover the creation of the staff, of the wand, in Dragon Magic 101. There is a very, 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 very specific process that goes into creating a dragon magic tool. Not only can you not do it before a co-magician, you have to fully have path worked with all 4 rulers before you can do it. Any work you do before that point is wasted, period, in the story. Now, what you can do is you can pick, in the case of a staff, well, any of them, you could pick like the wood or the item that you're going to be using. You could even decorate it. And you can use it in your rituals. So to some extent, it'll be getting some slight energetic attunement, but it won't be a dragon magic tool. It wouldn't be any different than any other tool that you used. And until you complete all the necessary requirements and get to the because the staff and tool is actually the final project of Dragon Magic 101. The final project alone takes usually anywhere from 6 months or more to complete. So honestly, it's not the co-magician you're worried about, because you're going to have to find the co-magician first, and you're going to have to complete the rest of the path working. We do talk about the dragon magic. If you're in the class, you'll notice we do talk about it, because basically you can select the item. So, whatever it is you want to use. I mean, my staff's back here. I keep it in the office with me, but you can pick out your wood or for the staff or the wand, or if you want to use, I've seen some gorgeous fiberglass and steel-headed canes that have been used for dragon magic tools. If you want, but they can be hard to find. So if you want to start looking for that, and when you get it, start using it, you can use it within your rituals, but you can't create it. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. And I'm glad you're enjoying the channel. And if you haven't picked up Dragon Magic 101, head over to workingdragonmystic.com. Click on the online courses tab. It's a full work at your own pace course. Has all the details step by step, plenty of stuff, lots of exercises, lots of spell work. And the course is only $30. And there's I know people who charge well over $300 for the same thing, but pop over there and grab that. That will get you through it every step of the way, mate. And thank you very much. Glad you're enjoying the channel. Let's see. Jade's throwing clocks at me. It is time to go. I'm ran over answering that question. Thank you. It's always great. Get a fly. Okay. Thank you, Violet Star. Like your dragon course. I wasn't sure if you were doing one for demons and fae. Okay. Yes. Great. Thank you for clarifying your question, Sophie. I do plan to do a course for specifically focusing in infernal or demons. I don't know if it's going to be the Cliffoth specifically, or if we're going to look into a infernal path working of a different kind. I've done a few, and I'm weighing my options on where to spend my time. The next course is the Norse course. That's actually what we're starting to film now. We are doing a Fae course. I'm actually working with the Fae Queens. And there's actually going to be, it appears they want them completely separate. So there will be a summer Fae course and a winter Fae course. And they're actually only going to be available at certain times of the year, because both path workings actually require a specific time of the year to do. The Fae are being very nitpicky. But I am working on it, and I'm trying my damnedest to get all the notes together, because I know so many people want to work with the Fae and would love that. So I am doing the best I can. But yes, so when it comes to demons, yes, I have plans to do that. I got to work out the logistics of which one I want to do when and first. And then, yes, for the Fae as well, we actually have 2 of those coming. And I'm right now, it's working with the queens and the lords and ladies of winter and summer and nailing it all down. And then hopefully I'll have all the notes and be able to start formatting very soon. Hopefully. Cross your fingers, your toes, eyes, whatever you got, cross it, because I could use all the blessings I could get on that. Thank you. I'm waiting for the down. No problem. No problem. I know it's probably not the answer you wanted, but I'll be an honest person rather than blow smoke up your behind. That's just the kind of guy I am. It's raining clocks. Got that question. Yep, it's raining clocks. That's so exciting. Will it be this year? I'm hoping to get the Norse course done this year. Currently, after trying to film multiple courses in 1 year and almost burning myself out and driving myself insane, and in truth, sacrificing my health, I probably won't try to do more than one course a year. So my main focus as far as filming courses will be the Norse Magic course, but it is going to be a big course. We are going to cover Norse magic. We're going to be covering spirit animals. We're going to be covering seed magic, rune magic, goldering. We're going to be covering it all. We're going to be talking about the 9 realms, and we're going to be path working the 9 realms. So it's a huge undertaking. And anyone interested in Norse magic, get ready, because if I pull off what me and Odin's trying to pull off, I might actually have to put a feather in my own hat on that one. High hopes. All right. Thank you for asking them. Always love to share. Why do I get the feeling the Fae are giggling at your reaction? They are. They're laughing at me. They know that I love to do this, and they know that I will strive hard to meet the requirements to publish with their approval. And as dedicated and a hard worker as I am, I do go on rants and occasionally bitch, moan, and complain as a motivating tactic to get myself through it. I'm very entertaining. I can also be stressful. So, like, I will bitch and moan and have fun. To me, it's entertaining. The people around me are getting stressed because I'm bitching. So, take it how you want. All right, everybody, I got to get off here. I got to go fix some steaks for dinner and bug the wife. And, well, relax. Seriously, it's time for me to get out of the office and have some fun. And because I got to be back in the office by, 5 a.m. tomorrow? Ooh, crap. All right, everybody, have a fantastic week. Keep up the great work. And I will see you all on the next coffee hour, and see y'all Tuesday for the video. We got a Dragon Magic video Tuesday. Ooh, see you there. Good night.